Hello, my name's Garrett Nelson. I don't have a partner. My partner couldn't show up today, so I'm just going to do the assessment on myself. I'm going to do a systematic assessment and a corrective exercise strategy for the knee, which is what I was assigned, specifically knee valgus during squats, overhead squat, single leg squat, and just back squat. So first I'm going to do the assessment. Let me just move the angle real quick. First thing we're going to do for the assessment is assess the patient's squats. So first we're going to start with a simple back squat. So I'm going to show you the incorrect way. So if the patient had knee valgus, this is how you do it. You're going to just squat position, knees shoulder width apart. I'm going to squat down. See how my knees stay straight in line with my toes? That's the correct way. The incorrect way is with knee valgus is coming down here and then you start going in. Another way you can do that, same thing, just overhead squat, a little bit harder. See how the knees come in? That's impairment of knee valgus. Last squat is single leg squat. So come in here, down, see how my knee goes in, another knee valgus. Another simple way to do it, to test valgus misalignment, is standing with your knees and ankles together. And once your knees touch, if your ankles aren't touching as well, that's a good sign that you might have knee valgus. With all that being said, through the assessment, we found that the tibialis anterior, gastrocnemius, and hip adductors were overactive in the valgus knee, and the underactive muscles were the glute medius and the hip abductors. Also, poor range of motion in the ankles could cause this problem as well, but not in this patient specifically. So, some of the causes of knee valgus are caused by bone deformities or complications such as osteoarthritis, rickets, and scurvy. Or it can be genetic as well, developing through genetics. And then another common way is poor posture. So just how I'm sitting here, bent forward, just poor posture in general can cause that as well. If you do not correct this, you can end up with patellofemoral or knee pain, IT band syndrome, or potential ACL tear. Just a general way to correct is by strengthening the hips, specifically the hip abductors and the glute medius, since they were underactive. When there's muscle imbalance or a lack of activation in a specific area, we often opt for more of an isolated approach, as in strengthening, inhibitory, lengthening, all those. So I'm going to demonstrate some inhibitory techniques first. An effective inhibitory technique for knee valgus is foam rolling the overactive areas. So like we said before, the overactive areas were the gastrocnemius, tibialis anterior, and hip adductors. Adductors, yes. And today I'm going to demonstrate foam rolling for the gastrocnemius / soleus, mainly the gastrocnemius, because that's what causes knee valgus more than the soleus, tightness-wise. So one common way, I have a foam roll here. I'm going to show you. This is what I would do for the inhibitory technique. So come in here, foam roll in the calf, just trying to get that tightness out of there, which is causing some of that knee valgus, just like that. Another alternative would be like a lacrosse ball. Sorry, I have to keep changing the angle. Lacrosse ball or baseball. Do the same thing I just did, right under the calf, foam rolling it out, trying to get that tightness out, try to release some of that tension that's causing the knees to go in. Some lengthening techniques that are good. Mainly you want to hit the adductor groups, so the inner thigh, the groin area. Let's see. One stretch that's very common that a lot of people do that can help with these adductors is bringing the feet together just like this. This is called the butterfly. And then you're going to push down with your elbows, stretching those adductors. Do that about 3 sets for 30 seconds, getting those real stretched out. Another one is a kneeling hip flexor stretch. So here, you're gonna lean forward, should feel a stretch right through here, right in the abductors, also the hip flexor. So that's gonna really loosen that up, helping with the overactive muscles, the adductors, and evening it out so that the abductors aren't way weaker than the adductors. Another one is a standing stretch. So come in here. This is called a lateral adductor stretch. So you're gonna come here, lean into that right knee. You'll be stretching this left side here, the adductor. Same thing, about 30 seconds, 3 times. Those are some good stretching techniques or lengthening techniques that will help with knee valgus in things like squatting and other exercises. Now we're going to move on to the positional and isolated strengthening techniques, which I think are the most important for this problem. So one that I like, that's a very common exercise, but pretty difficult, side lying hip abduction. So you're going to bend the bottom knee, top leg's going to be straight. You're going to lay on your side. You want the knee on top of the other knee. Don't let your hips roll forward. Don't let them roll back. You want to stay on your side and then going straight up and straight back down. Just like that. That's going to strengthen the abductors, which are weak. So before we were lengthening and inhibiting the adductors, sorry, because they were overactive. Now we're strengthening the underactive muscles, such as the hip abductors or the glute medius. Another thing we can do is, clamshells. I have a resistance band right here. You can use a resistance band or not. However, if it's easy, use resistance. If not, don't worry about it. Knees are going to be bent, similar to the other one, except the top knee is not going to be straight. It's going to be bent just like the bottom. You're going to tie this around right above the knee. And you're just going to lift the top one up. These are called clamshells. This is going to strengthen those hip abductors, isolating them. It will also help with some of the glute medius as well, which is another underactive muscle causing knee valgus. And the last isolated strengthening technique we're going to do here for our patient is, I'll do it this way. You're going to come here, similar to the clamshell. I'm just going to hold it. Usually you'll tie it kind of in a squat position or defensive position, and you can just do one at a time, just like that. Abductors, isolating those abductors, and a little bit of glute medius as well. And then other side, keeping this one still. You could even do both at the same time, but I prefer doing one at a time, just focusing, isolating that muscle. So those are some of the positional and isolated strengthening techniques that'll help with the underactive muscles. Some dynamic strengthening techniques that we can do are similar to the assessment. So squatting, so the first one I'm going to show you is squatting, but with resistance band. So you're going to put this here. This is going to help from keeping those knees going in. So you want to shoulder width apart. And you're going to squat. And you want to pull this band apart slightly. You don't want to go all the way out like that, but you want to, so that it's in line with your feet, holding that position. The resistance band will actually help with actually keeping those knees from going in, because it gives you kind of a reminder. And you're going to squat, keeping those knees in line with the toes, about shoulder width apart, just like that. So those are squats with resistance band abduction hold. Another one we can do is glute bridges. This one's a very good one for knee valgus because it's going to work the glute medius and the hip abductors. Sorry. We're going to go here, up, and then pull apart. So you're going to bridge your butt up so that everything's in line. Stomach's in line with the knees, and then you're gonna abduct both hips, and then back together and down, just like that. So that's gonna work the glute medius and the hip abductors, sorry. Last one that I'm gonna show you is more of an active, I would say more for like sport, or if you're doing a lot of running, stuff like that, this is gonna help, I think, the most. First one's gonna be sidestepping with resistance band. So you're gonna come here, athletic squat position, chest up, knees look forward, shoulder width apart. I'm gonna start over here, sorry. And you're gonna go first leg, follow. You wanna keep the same distance the whole time. So you don't wanna come here and bring them together. You wanna keep that same shoulder width apart distance. One at a time, walking, sidestepping. I'd say for about 30 feet, do 2 to 3 laps. And then one more walk that will help with this is called a monster walk. So similar, this is another dynamic strengthening technique. So come in here, same position, defensive position, squatting position, knees shoulder width apart, and you're gonna go to one side, and then come back to that same starting position, other side, just like that. This is more of a dynamic, working glute medius, abductors, hamstrings, quads, a lot of things. Just come in here, just like that. So those are the techniques I would use for my patient if they had knee valgus, and thank you.